Welcome, everybody. We are here to talk about Star Wars Unlimited. I'm joined by Jared, who has been doing some Star Wars Unlimited it, league sets and pre release kits, and he's here to convince me to get into the game. So I am sitting on the fence right now. I'm like, should I get into Star Wars Unlimited? I already covered up Star Wars stuff, but what is interesting about Star Wars Unlimited? How is Fantasy Flight doing this differently from other games? How has the engagement of the community been? So that's kind of what we're going to cover. And hopefully by the end, I will have made a decision whether I'm going to get into this or not. But Jared, thanks so much for coming on, man. You've been a long time friend, so it's great to finally get you on. And I love your paint set, by the way, man. I just don't have the brain for painting.
It takes a lot of patience, tons of
Yeah.
patience.
So tell me about Star
So
Wars
yeah,
Unlimited. Yeah.
okay. So Star Wars Unlimited was announced, I think, middle of last year, and
Yep.
it's been quiet. Now I've been playing Fantasy Flight games for a long time. I started with the Star Wars LCG, um, which was called Star Wars the Card Game. Played it from the beginning all the way to the end, including tournaments. I drove to Atlanta. I live in Tennessee, but at the time I was close to Atlanta. I drive to Atlanta for big tournaments, store championships, things of that nature. Went to regionals, never went to worlds, but so I
Yeah.
had a lot of fun with that. Played X-wing. I played Star Wars Armada. I play Star Wars Legion well, it used to be Fantasy Flight, now Atomic Mass Games. They took the
Right.
reins of the miniature side of that. But also Star Wars Destiny from beginning to end. I was all about Star Wars Destiny, both casual and competitive with that.
Well, very
So I've
cool,
been
man. So
in.
tell me about Star Wars Unlimited and why this is sort of a really interesting product. Like, why should I get into this?
So the main thing that we have to think about here is there hasn't been a tried and true Star Wars card game for a very long time. The last one that we've seen was the Wizards of the Coast incarnation of it, which was received mixed. I had mixed feelings about it. I'm a longtime collector and player of Star Wars CCG, and back when Decipher lost the license, I got very upset. So I did
Yeah.
not invest in Wizards of the Coast Star Wars TCG. That being said, there have been some other games in between there, but not a true card game. The closest that we got to a card game for Star Wars was Star Wars Destiny, but you had the dice gimmick. Production on the dice, this coming straight from Fantasy Flight, was just a nightmare.
Yeah, it was a nightmare
Allocation,
store as well, man. I've seen some people with collections of those dice where it just takes up a box of dice. It's too
yeah,
many.
yeah. Um, the dice gimmick kind of got me at first, and then I grew to love the game, the interaction that the game offered, and just how you deck build and whatnot. So I have all of my Star Wars Destiny stuff too, and tons of booster boxes in cases and cases in my closet that we'll see what happens with all that. But I'm not an investor, but I do keep stuff. I have a tendency to keep things.
No,
Um,
it's okay. We all have that inner hoarder inside us.
yeah,
So
yeah.
Star Wars Unlimited comes out March 11th, and my understanding is they've been doing a really good job, kind of doing a barn burning tour around
Mhm.
LGSs and just really getting this in the hands of players. Can you talk a little bit about your experience playing the game? I think there's 250 odd cards, something like 220.
Mhm.
Maybe 252. I see your card number 116 out of 252. So maybe
Yeah,
252. But can you talk a little about the
yeah.
play experience and what they've been doing to market this?
All right. So the first taste of previews that I got, I was just like, man, I want to get my hands on some cards. I want a deck list. I want something I can print out to try this out. Right.
Sure.
Now, they did some demos. I believe at Gen Con, that was the first experience, the first taste of it that people got. And I watched every demo video I could watch. They did release the quick start rules. So I printed that out. I made a binder with it. And they finally revealed the demo decks. And there were some gentlemen on the Star Wars Unlimited Discord that took upon themselves to use their graphic editing smarts to make printable sheets where we could cut out these cards and put them on, old Magic cards or old Flesh and Blood cards. A stack of Flesh and Blood cards that just
Right, right,
commons
right.
that I don't do anything with. My last little batch of them. That's another story for another day. But
Yeah,
so
Flesh and
yeah,
Blood.
so
Sorry.
yeah, um, I have mixed feelings about Flesh and Blood. Anyways, this is about Star Wars Unlimited, right? So we got the demo decks. I printed them out. I cut them, sleeved them up, put them up in front of old Magic cards that I had, old bulk, because I'm also a Magic Gathering collector and player. So I hit some friends up that were into Star Wars and also played other card games, right? Um, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, things of that nature, right? So I started doing local demos, right? They made the PDFs available online so everyone could print it out. They really seriously care about the player base and building that community. And I have never, I think before when we spoke before we recorded, right? I have never seen Fantasy Flight Games care that much about a game ever, right? And after that, the two-player starter decks were revealed. So I went ahead and I printed those. They made them available. I cut them and sleeved them up as well. So I've been running local demos. I've gotten about 15 odd people um, taught how to play so far. Um, as far as my experience with gameplay, it's very fluid. If you guys have ever played Star Wars Destiny, there is a I take an action, you take an action mechanic, right?
Mhm.
It's very character centric. So you build your deck around your commander, right? And your commander and the starter, the two-player starters, is of course iconic Bespin, Luke, right? Young Luke with Anakin's lightsaber and then Vader in the carbon freezing chamber, right? That is the scene that they pull, iconic scene from Empire Strikes Back, right? Now, as far as gameplay goes, you both pick a commander and then you both pick a base, right? Now, there's something called aspects, which would be akin to like colors in Magic, right?
Mhm.
So instead of Wooburg, we've got, I'm going to make sure I don't mess this up here. So blue, which would be vigilance, green, which would be command, okay?
Okay.
Uh, red would be aggression,
Okay.
yellow is cunning, gold is heroism, and black is villainy, okay?
6 colors, I guess.
That's correct. Yeah. So one extra layer there, right? As opposed to magic. Now, you build your deck around your commander and your site, your location that you use, and they have different aspects on them. So you can kind of see what your play style is, right? Do you want to play more aggressively? Like mono red burn and magic, right? You would want to go aggression. Lots of indirect damage, ways to deal direct damage to units in the game, deal direct damage to the base. It's all about that, right? Um, Cunning is more, do I want to play tricks where I can bounce units back to the other player's hand, right? Do I want to make them exhaust, which would be like tapping, right? In Magic, you can exhaust a unit before they have a chance to attack with it. There's so many layers with it, just even with the two-player starter. So we both take turns taking actions until the round is finished. And when both players have no more actions to play, that's when it finishes. And there's something called, you get initiative, right? There's a token that represents that. You can claim initiative, but if you do, you forfeit all actions for the rest of the turn, right? And then your opponent has a chance to react after that.
So,
So,
Jared, can I jump in as you kind of go through
yeah,
the rule? Is this is fun to play fundamentally? People are kind of wondering, like, is this fun? Like, you guys have had a great time
yeah,
playing.
we
Okay.
have, and it's every game. There was always some sort of different action interaction that happened, and what's
Mhm.
really now I used to play the Star Wars LCG, and what I liked about that is just how there was a lot of storytelling kind of in that game, very
Right.
abstract, right? This game, it just not intentionally, certain things happen that put you right in the IP, in the movie, right? In Empire Strikes Back, in one of your favorite comic books, in the prequels. and it was amazing. It just clicked for me. I was like, this is actually fun, right? We're Luke and Vader are fighting it out, right? There's different things going on. We're reenacting The Empire Strikes Back, but we're, tactically playing a card game against each other. So a lot of fun with it. There's always something that I learned new. We figured out a few combos that are in the starter decks that were just really, as we peeled the layers back of the game, like from a competitive or tactical perspective, new things started appearing. So, in my opinion, it's so far my experience has been amazing.
So I just want to note something I've kind of noticed because I track the release of Orana pretty closely.
Hmm.
And while they had card previews, even the Star Wars Unlimited site, which I've been kind of puttering through as we've been chatting, there are so many resources, whether it's deck building, card lists,
Hmm.
store locators. You know, I've heard of so many local game stores having how to play events. And it seems like they're really making an effort of cultivating the play base, which I think is really important because ultimately, if people aren't playing this game, it's not going to last very long. So it seems like they're focusing a lot on players and tournaments and giving people demo decks. I think is really good and a good sign for a game that they want to last, right? I'm
Hmm.
just going through the art here. Some of this arts I actually like. I'm warming up to the art. I was a little cold on it
Yeah.
before, but as I kind of go through some of the
Yeah.
images, yeah, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. So basically, the artwork. So as we all know, if you guys have any experience with Fantasy Flight, they have a large portfolio of Star Wars artwork from everywhere, and they use
Okay,
it in all their games, right? So even like from Star Wars Legion to some of the older games that I played, the card artwork, it shares artwork with other games, right? So they decided to deviate from that and contract out new art for this game to make it unique. So people don't feel like it's another Fantasy Flight game, something's going to happen with it. We joked about that, oh, they only last 3 to 5 years or something like that. But um, they learned from the LCGs, they learned from Star Wars Destiny. They spent 3 years of development before they even announced it, with a focus on players and organized play and the experience of it.
so I mean that's really refreshing to hear because I think a lot of times balance is really an issue with the first set, and they've had this in the hands of people for a while. So, we think of successful CCG. You have three legs of the stool. The biggest leg always has to be players, right? That's going to
Mhm.
spur singles. That's going to spur TCG players stuff, eBay sales, and they also have collectors, right? And so with collectors, can you talk a little bit about the collectability? I think there's some showcase foils. There's some stuff that
Oh
the
yeah.
inner collector in me is like, I gotta have one of
Yeah.
those. So, what are these
So I'm
showcase?
a Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. I didn't mean to interrupt you, sir.
No, no, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So they do have a bit of that. They have engineered the product to be collectible. So you will get a foil in every pack. You're looking at 16 cards, and I'll just read through the pack layout for you.
Sure.
Let's see here.
I'm hoping for two rares or more. I love two rares in a pack.
Yeah,
The
it
days of
can
one
happen.
pack is done.
All right. So um, there's going to be 16 cards in the pack. Okay.
Okay.
So you're going to get into common, uncommon, rare, and legendary rarities. Okay. So a booster pack will have 9 common cards, 3 uncommon cards, 1 rare or legendary, and you may notice that it only has 13. So it's actually, you include a base and a leader for every pack. So they've engineered the packs to have bases and leaders so that it's draftable or you can play sealed. You're
Right.
guaranteed to have those two, right? Now the 16th slot is the foil, and the foil could be any rarity, could be common, uncommon, rare, legendary. They have a special borderless art that they call hyperspace, um, and you could get a hyperspace foil. Now the rarest cards that you can get are going to be showcase versions of the commanders, and so
Okay.
far, um, the first one that was revealed was Leia Organa, and if you go to, there's a news article called Boosting Ahead of Release. It should show you the artwork for that on that news.
Okay.
So that's the normal version there. That's the command
Okay.
version.
And then there's the showcase version of it, which I don't think is on the website here, but interesting. I'm seeing this maybe in the news here, but I mean, I just also like even clicking on this website. There's like lots of resources to get me excited about this. I'm like, oh, I might read through this. Some of these articles and the art, like they're putting some real thought into the release of this, which I just haven't seen with a lot of other games, and especially because it's Star Wars games, there's always going to be additional resources put towards it. But I like what I'm hearing about collecting. I mean, I'm kind of like 50% player, 50% collector. And so they're doing something for collectors. So players are getting lots of resources for them. There's something for collectors to hunt. And since it's Star Wars, the third leg of the CCG stool is probably the group that everyone hates the most, but it's the sort of investors that just buy booster boxes to stick in a closet. And I think these people are going to come in when they see that this is a Star Wars IP. They're like, oh, I'm going to buy a case of booster boxes, stick in my basement. That's their own prerogative, but you got
Yeah.
to have those people buying product to move it. Do we know anything about supply? Is this going to be one of these things that you can't find product on day one? So March 8th is the release date. Are we going to be able to find product?
So I don't have a specific information on allocation for distributors and whatnot, but based on their live streams, and they're implying that there will be plenty of product out there. You can still pre-release on various websites everywhere. Stores are doing pre-orders. Sorry, I think I said pre-release. I meant pre-order. Apologies for that. There's pre-orders everywhere, major websites, local game stores, and as far as I can tell, the pre-orders are not running out. Now, that could be a double-edged sword. I don't know what the allocation is going to be, but it seems to be that product is going to be available at launch, so we can get it in people's hands. Me personally, I'm working it out to get 3 cases, so 18 boxes, plus several copies of the starter set, so I can keep one starter set sleeved up and have plenty for deck building. Because the starter sets do have fixed cards, but they come in play sets. So you get one starter set, you have play sets of the cards that they're exclusive to that. So um, there's a lot of options here. It seems to me that they are player focused, organized play focused. They want people to play this game. They want to get it in your hands, right? And they're making sure that everything you need to play is available, whether you buy a 2-player starter or if you play draft or sealed. So
Jared, I think you've convinced me, man. I'm excited. I was looking through the cards as we were chatting here, so people can kind of see what they look
mhm.
like. Mechanically, this game sounds like it could be fun. I love a game you can draft. The nice thing about modern CCGs is they've learned the lessons of the past, where some of the clunkiness and
Mhm.
love Star Wars CCG, but the game is clunky, right? We can say it.
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like speaking of a child, that you you're like, oh, it's my child. I can talk a little bit crap about her. You can't, but whatever. So I'm excited for this release. March 8th, I might see about getting some packs.
Mhm.
Also, just the idea that you can play as a local game store. Do you know if it's going to be at big box recent retailers like Target, Walmart, all that jazz?
I didn't know about that. There hasn't been any mention of it. They're focusing on game stores, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that as much in recent times. Um, so I mean, I was all in. I was skeptical. I saw some of the artwork, like you said. The artwork's growing on me. Most of it has been that I've seen. Most of the cards in the set, and it's a skinny card game. There's going to be artwork that's not great. Look at Magic the Gathering. There was terrible artwork in some of Alpha, Beta, and some of those cards, man. Now there was also very beautiful art at the time, like the Moxes and the Black Lotus. Beautiful artwork,
Right.
right?
Right.
So growing pains, man. They've got 3 to 5 sets already planned out, mapped out. Um, I have a strong feeling based on my experience with Fantasy Flight before, you're going to see an improvement in the artwork,
Yeah.
right? It's
And
going to
I mean,
get better.
it seems like they're working with players as well. I mean, I was going through the
Mhm.
event calendar. They have events. Uh, if you guys see this and there's an event near you, local play to test out the game, check it out, man. It sounds like it's gonna be a fun ride ahead, and I think I'm gonna do a monthly update on where Star Wars Unlimited's at. So this is the February edition. We'll do something in March once the game releases and kind of moving forward. but I'm excited for this. I don't know how much I can afford to spend on it. You know,
Yeah.
that's always a problem. But Jared, thanks for hanging out, man. Any kind of final thoughts on why folks should get into Star Wars Unlimited?
Any of you guys that have played any kind of card games at all in the last 20 to 30 years, this is one of the most fun card games I played in a long time.
Okay.
I played a
I
lot
wish
of
you did
card
that
games.
first. I wish you did it
Um,
in the first minute. That's like a great hook right there. We should have set it up
yeah,
front.
you could cut
Uh,
it and then put it in the beginning.
yeah, I don't know how to do that. I'm a millennial boomer over
No.
here. So
Um, and I mean, truth be told, again, I was skeptical because I invested in Destiny as a player and partially as a collector,
yeah,
and it got cut short. But I see why. I understand why it did. Right?
yeah,
We can be mad about it. It's like the whole Decipher losing the license
yeah,
back in the day, right? We can be mad about it, but the best thing we can do is just move forward.
yeah.
Grass can be greener on the other side. I'm really excited about it. I mean, no lie, I'm full sails heading north, right? I'm ready to go. So,
All right. Well, we'll check in a month and see how things are going with Star Wars
oh yeah,
Unlimited. Thanks for hanging out, man. I'm gonna have you back on in about a month, and you can tell me
okay.
about how the launch went, and maybe we can show off some. Maybe you'll pull a showcase foil we can show off from the camera. That'd be
I
cool.
hope so. I mean, 3 cases, I should get at least a couple. So,
Three
looking forward
cases.
to that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man.
That's
Yeah,
that's a
told
good
you
order.
I'm all in. Now,
Yeah.
my intention behind that, I'll say this real quick and then I'll stop because it's easy to go down the rabbit hole. The reason for me getting so much is I want to do a play set, obviously, and I do like collecting, but the extra stuff, I'm putting it locally so players can get things that they need if they need to fill gaps in their decks and stuff like that. So I'm
Yeah.
donating all the bulk so new players can get started. So,
That's great, man. That's one thing about cards is like you're chasing rares and you're like, there's 13 other cards in this pack that I already have
yeah,
four of. So, well, that's gonna be a lot of fun to open, man. I'm a little jealous. Maybe I'll fly out there and we can hang out. Just open
yeah,
some
man,
packs.
yeah.
All right. Well, thanks
So
for hanging. We'll
yeah, no
catch everybody
problem.
next time, and we'll have more on Star Wars Unlimited in a little bit.